Before we start this episode, we wanted to do a quick disclaimer. This is a mental health podcast and we are not professionals. These are our opinions and personal experiences on mental health. That being said, we do discuss sensitive subjects.
This is our official trigger warning for our episodes. We are a mental health podcast, and we did want to give a trigger warning to any viewers or listeners that may be sensitive to any topics we might bring up. We do not hold back on the podcast. We will be discussing every corner and in and out, the dark and light sides of mental health, mental illness, and those struggles. So thank you for tuning in. This is your final trigger warning.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into the next episode of the Rock Bottom Podcast. Today we have a special podcast for you. We brought co-director Cherokee Bridges and co-director Justin Castillo on today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Another interview pod, part 2.
Yes,
Part two.
This time we've got Cherokee, writers and directors.
Yes.
Do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Cherokee, since we didn't get to talk to you last time?
I don't know how to explain myself. Kind of just someone who aspires to be a good writer.
Yeah.
You know, I aspire for realism. I aspire for atmospheric writing and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like a little bit I can describe my writing basically.
Yeah. Okay, so you like the cinematic, the atmosphere, type stuff in directing and in movies?
Yeah.
That's cool. Do you like writing more or directing more?
I think I like writing a little more because I can get more creative.
Yeah.
Because with
agree.
shooting, I feel like you have to get certain boundaries and you have to be on time and stuff like that. With writing, it's just a little more time free and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Tell us how you got into directing, what led you to The Last Order, how you guys connected.
So my first I did 2 projects before I worked with him. I did a music video with Calvin. He goes by Ex Vicent.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little local Florida artist that I worked with or whatever. And then I worked with a bunch of other people. It was called The Dreams of Last fan film, and it was not really good. It was our first project, but it was a lot of big learning curve, big learning experience working with people and stuff like that. It was just basically a little tropey horror film, and and then I went to Justin. We basically I came up with an idea for him basically, and kind of just went from there. And we wrote the script out. How long was the script? A couple months, right?
Maybe a month and a half.
Month and a half on the script.
Because we worked together, and it was always he's a big movie geek, big movie guy. I mean, he knows. Even before this, he was talking about The Grudge. He's talking about, I don't even know the name of it, the original Grudge.
Well, John?
Yeah, he knows. So we used to geek out over movies at work. And I was talking about how I used to take writing classes and everything. And he goes, hey, I have this idea. And he brought up, this murder that came up in,
the true story you were talking
I
about
told about last time. Yeah.
That was crazy. I found that out right mid podcast. He was like, "Yeah, it's based on true story," and I was like, "What?"
Inspired, Yeah.
Well, I had come across there was a article, and I was reading about it, and it just popped in my head. I was like, we could literally just make this into a fictional movie.
Absolutely.
Almost.
So I know we brought it up last episode, but can we dive into a little bit of the mental health aspect behind doing horror? And I know you went into it a little bit last time, but maybe in your perspective as well, maybe a joint question, just your mindset with horror and how it affects your mental health. And
so I have a good perspective on that. So comedy, for example, you can take fun and turn that into scary, right? But with skill, horror movies, you can take scary and turn it into fun. That's kind of the aspect I kind of look at it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even I think I touched on it last time. It's not so much what I see, the gore and everything. Last night, I saw Terrifier 3 in theaters.
Okay.
And, they got the double checkpoints for IDs and everything like that to make sure nobody under 17 gets in.
Holy.
Okay.
And,
that's crazy.
There's all this hype behind it. People threw up within the first 10 minutes. They passed out, all this. So I'm like, this has to be fucking crazy.
You just did this yesterday?
Last night, yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. So I go there. And it's gory, it's gross, but it wasn't oh my god.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
At the end of the day, it's a demonic clown that's going around doing it.
Yeah.
And to me, I kind of I see the gore and I'm like, cool. How do you do that?
To me, the gory stuff isn't as scary. I get more scared probably because I was raised such church Christian, but I would get more scared of the nun, demonic, insidious type stuff. Whereas gore and clowns and killing, I'm just this is so extra.
Give me some existential dread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. And it's so it's just funny, just the dichotomy of saw Terrifier. I'm laughing during it and everything like that. It's funny. And then I watched Spaceman on Netflix. It's an Adam Sandler movie with Paul Dano. He's out in space. He's going past Jupiter to this mysterious cloud, and it's him by himself. and it's about like the isolation of him, and then like this weird spider creatures on the board, and they communicate telepathically, and it's this exploration of loneliness and what's it mean to be selfish and all that stuff. I cried 4 times during that movie.
Yeah, it was pretty extensive, like the detail and the script, and I was like, damn, this is kind of like harsh. Like I can't imagine being the one to go out there and
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that one movie you watched, Audition, how like the realism with that movie is too, with being lonely, trying to look for like a wife and that stuff too.
Like that's a horror movie where that was, again, there is kind of a shock factor to it.
Yeah.
Like it's known. There's like, I think it was Helena by My Chemical Romance or whatever. There's some My Chemical Romance music video that's inspired by it.
Mhm.
And honestly, it's more uncomfortable during the scenes where there's like, it's not like the torture river. It's like you see this guy who's so lonely, he's being like this manipulation happening and everything like that.
Those are the
And
scenes.
the camera angles are so far away, like it just feels like there's this depth to it. You feel like you're pulled away, like in the water. And it's that kind of,
because the way the director went about it, because he has a certain style, he just wanted to capture how lonely it is actually being in Japan and stuff like that for like a male.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
so that went into like the interesting.
Yeah, because
the
society in
dynamic.
Japan is like very, very like lonely and like very work heavy, so they don't really have a lot of freedom and stuff like that.
Yeah, they kind of like strip you away from your emotions too a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Culture. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Wow. That's crazy. I've never really thought about that and how you're not really allowed to have emotions in certain cultures. You kind of like low key in any culture and society, but some heavier than other, like way heavier than others. I also wanted to say you guys have made me realize like so much about directing. Like since I've hung out with you guys, since I've been on set with you guys, we watch movies now, and I appreciate like the artistry of directing so much more because I'm like, look how they're like directing this. Look at this like angle, like this shot. That's so cool. Like now I just like appreciate it even more, and now I like see the difference in certain movies. Like, oh, this one was obviously directed by a different director than this one. And I didn't used to be able to see that. It was just like a movie was a movie. But now I can tell like the different styles of directing.
Yeah, I had no idea, especially that scene where I don't know if we can get too much in this on the podcast, but the baby scene in The Last Order.
Oh yeah,
What you-
he kept talking about how you
What
had to,
you
like-
had to do for that scene. Now I'm looking at other movies. I'm like, what did that director have to do to accomplish
get this
that?
shot. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. It is. And like part of this film is part of the film was like an experiment in practical effects. Like I was working on another film project, and it was a feature-length film, so obviously like you have to make your money stretch for an hour and a half, 2-hour film. The director had this attitude of being like, oh well, this doesn't really look like we wanted it to look. Green screen it, CGI it, and just like it's such a casual thing nowadays, but the practical effects hit.
Yeah.
The Alien movie that came out recently,
Okay.
practical effects.
Covenant, whatever.
Yeah, no,
Romulus.
Romulus.
I don't even know where they're at these days.
But it was really cool. Like they built an entire animatronic alien.
Oh, yeah.
The face huggers were set up on like RC cars so they could move in remote control. And like even like I mean, there's one effect I'm really proud of in the film is there's a member of the cult that comes through, and there's the ritual, and all the candles are extinguished. And as the cult member walks through, it's a shot of like her feet as she walks by the candles. As she walks by, the candles reignite.
Oh man, I remember that.
And
That scene was crazy.
yeah, and it's
She was telling me about it.
it
scene
was
was
such a
crazy.
mess. It was. We did that take. I don't even know how many
It
times.
was at least like I think 20 or 19 times.
At least 20
Are you
times.
talking about the candle scene where she walked by?
So it's us with air dusters, and some of us didn't have air dusters. We only had like 2 or 3 air dusters. So you're like trying to blow like.
Oh,
Me and Cherokee
Yeah.
were like running around each other, like trying to like blow out
And
the
then you're
candles.
missing, and we're trying to like we put straws on the ends of the air dusters to try to like extend the barrel on it, and yeah. But eventually we got it, and we ended up doing it where she's actually walking backwards as the candles are lit, and we extinguish them as she passes by each one. Play it
Yeah.
forward, they light up as she walks by.
That's
I didn't realize how
W.
often
Yeah.
people do that in movies and stuff. How often they use that reverse
Oh, yeah.
effect. Yeah, that's crazy. Last episode, you brought up how, like with mental health and the connection between the art and directing and writing, especially with horror movies, you were talking about how you like to kind of
write and create the irrational, so it makes the rational kind of easier to deal with. And I feel like we didn't really like, I think I was so shocked by what you said that I was like, I didn't really know what to say in the moment. And watching it back, I'm like, that was so good. Like,
Yeah, we were
let's
both
talk
looking
about
looking
that.
back at it. We were like, we should have dove deeper into that
Yeah.
story because it was so good.
Wanted to dive deeper into what you said about that. I thought that was awesome. Like, that's a huge part of art, is like creating this whole story and this whole world over like one little emotion and one little inspiration you had. So
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways you can dive into it.
yeah.
Again, like it's your world you're creating. You are in control of it, and you get to say what happens in it. You get to say what doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You get to say what the room looks like. Like you have control over every aspect of it, so you can explore those things where in real life you feel like you don't have control.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned before, like my anxiety
Right.
over just life in general. Like I'm able to control that within the films. And like even when I was in college, one of my writing courses, we had a prompt, and it was you had to write a short film with no dialogue. None of the characters could speak in it, or like they could, but there's just no dialogue.
Yeah, like a silent film, basically.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. You have to like focus on the action, the pacing of everything. And at the time I was doing like music production, but things weren't really working out, and it was kind of like this existential identity crisis of, oh man, I've been doing this for so long, put so much money, effort.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't do music, am I gonna be like happy? Am I gonna be able to like find something for me? And I was thinking about that, and then it kind of clicked with, oh, there's no sound in this. What if it was, a music producer, Grammy Award winning, has everything he's ever wanted, and he loses his hearing, and now he can never make music.
Wow.
And
My mind immediately went to Jack Antonoff in his ears, because he always protects his ears at like live events.
Yeah. And I ended up looking up like, all right, what's like the catalyst for it? And I found out there's like super rare, it's like 1.2%. But there's a thing where like a tumor will grow in your ear canal and you have to remove your entire ear canals or some shit like that. And like the first shot is him coming out, of the hospital, and it's him and his wife's crying, everything like that. They realize their life's never going to be the same.
I couldn't imagine.
But long story short, the character, ends up realizing he still has the ability to create like through like painting.
Yeah.
And like that's how he's able to like see like colors again and everything. Because in my head I had it all black and white, and then once he starts to paint, the colors start to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was therapeutic in me being able to kind of explore what it's like to have your like identity that you attach to a hobby or work activity or just anything you do, and what if that was like ripped away? Who
Yeah.
are you after that?
Yeah.
And honestly, that kind of helped me transition more into film. Just
That's so
because
good.
I used to do music, get stuck, writer's block. I can't figure out
Yeah.
where I want to go with this beat, this song. And then I'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna step away. I'm just gonna do some writing for a while. And so
Yeah.
I'd write scripts and I'd write scenes and everything. And it was always kind of like my fallback thing to kind of like
Yeah.
remind myself, oh, I can't.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you have to remember, instead of like trying to like get past that block or get this thing done that you're trying to achieve, you more so just have to be honest and just write like what you want to write and make what you need to make. It's more so like let the art make itself, kind of, because you like need to make it because you're so passionate about it, because you so need to get it out or you so need to create it, instead of like trying to create it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked about it the other day too. One of my problems and one of my downfalls is like I try to pick up every single task, try to pick up all these different hobbies. And, she was low and was like, why don't you just pick one thing, get really good at it, and then move on to the next thing? And that's what I started doing now. Now I focus on like one task, make it the best I can fucking make it, and then I move on to the next thing. And I think we just get lost in this like concept sometimes that, we have to just be like everything.
Yeah, we have to do everything.
Yes, absolutely. So
Like if you also just like do too many tasks at one time, it just overbears
Yes.
you out mentally.
Mhm.
It's very
and it just doesn't,
overcoming.
yeah, absolutely, it doesn't look the way you want it to.
Absolutely.
course.
I do not think we are creatures of multitask. I was just telling you this. We try to be, but I really don't think we are. And I think we do our best as humans when we just focus on one thing at a time. Yeah. Like, I don't think whenever we spread ourselves thin and multitask, we like just do everything shitty. Like, everything just turns out shitty, like simultaneously, instead of just doing one thing good, the next thing good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're 1000% correct on that. And I think I wanted to shift over to maybe what's next for, each of you. with
Are
production?
you guys writing right now
Yes.
still? Are you taking a break? Are you burnt out?
I'm coming up with a concept right now personally. I'm coming up a concept about like a guy who has PTSD. He goes to this mysterious town and he's trying to basically like find out and figure out who he is, and he gets a letter from like this old war veteran that supposedly died, and so kind of like it's very inspired by
Wow.
like Postal and Silent Hill.
I like it.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Love Silent Hill.
It's like eerie, like lonely type feeling. Shit.
Yeah, so like the creatures in like the movie, they'll look like his like mental illness, like anxiety, like
cool.
Stuff like that.
Oh, sick.
That's fucking awesome. You
Probably need a
should-
lot of CGI for that.
No, I want to go all practical.
All practical.
Mhm.
Oh shit.
Wow.
For me, one of my editors, Dylan McGee, wants to do a film, and he wants to do like a B style movie. I'm not going to say too much about it just because it's still in the process, but I think it is opportunity to be a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's kind of like a campy horror idea.
Okay.
But I think it'll be fun just because it's not as serious. The Last Order is serious. It was very,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it, but it's also like I want to flesh it out a little more, other ideas and other emotions.
Can you throw us a couple movies that it's kind of similar to that you take inspo from for this one? Because you said it's like
Well, it's his idea. He wants me to
right?
help like write on
Oh, I
like the
gotcha.
effects and everything.
Okay.
So it's more of like an assist role. But I mean, I think for that it would kind of be like Cooties. There's a movie with Elijah Wood,
Okay.
and it's like he's a teacher and there's just sickness going around, and all the kids get it, and they turn into like zombie crazy people things. So it's like they're getting the cooties, and they have to like.
Oh,
Oh,
my
that's
God.
smart.
But it's
That's
a little,
wild.
but it's like
Like
can't be like that.
Okay.
Okay.
And then me
Yeah.
personally, I have 2 scripts written. One of them is getting revised right now, just because I want to try, personally, to work with more actors, work with like extras and everything.
Yeah.
Each film I want to have a set of goals, not in terms of story, but in terms of what I want to learn personally as a
Like
director.
achieve.
Yeah. So that one is called working title is like My Plug Saw UFO. I want to have it be where it's just, this guy goes over to his plug's house to get some weed, and he's talking with him. He goes, "Yeah, man, I saw UFO last night and it changed everything." Everybody's like, "Oh man, what do you mean?" And it's just a conversation, kind of like there's a writer named Raymond Carver. He's notorious for doing like very, very minimal scenes. Like he has one called "What Do We Talk About When We Talk About Love?" And it's 2 couples sitting at a table drinking gin, talking about love. It's funny, it's inspiring, it hits on things. And I kind of want to do that, but it's just like a bunch of stoners at a house talking about that. And then, at the
70s
end, like just to have a twist or something like that. And,
That's
like
dope.
the government's involved with it a little bit.
That's dope.
I have that. I have another one that's called My Fist Fight with God. And it's kind of like a dark comedy. It's a kind of like a regular show kind of style.
Okay.
This guy meets his woman. They hit it off immediately, but these things keep happening. These acts of nature. A tree falls down in the middle of the road. He can't get to the date on time. He gets electrocuted, plug in his tea kettle, like all these little things. And it turns out that this woman is like the apple of God's eye. Like he's been trying to get with her in every single lifetime, and never can. And he gets in the way of every mortal man that does.
Interesting.
Oh my gosh.
And eventually this guy figures
That's
it out,
crazy.
runs into God at a bar while the Hughes drunk and goes, "Yo, I'm tired of your shit. You and me, fist fight." And then neither of them know how to fight. And then, and like all the
that's
names are
hilarious.
biblical names and everything like that.
Interesting.
But just to go and like work with like choreography on that one, kind of
Yeah.
again, comedy.
For sure. Almost like an enlightenment thing, right? Because like you have to reach that goal in your life to reach enlightenment. So
Yeah.
he's trying to get with this girl. He can finally get there. That's funny. I like that.
And I think it's funny too because it's like some first time God's fought somebody, I think was it Job or Israel or something like that, fought God. And it's the idea of like in the
That's
Bible, it's this
hilarious.
whole thing where they wrestled in the dirt. It's this
Yeah.
whole thing, and this is just like 2 guys in the parking lot pulling hair, and
It's like silent.
yeah,
It's like that, that audio with like the sneakers. and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like-
Oh,
You should've-
Yeah.
A year from now is work on like a bigger project where I start to
Mhm.
do like more CGI, more green screen and everything like that, kind of push into that. Love it or hate it, just superhero films that become a standard in the film industry. What I want to do is do like a live action anime.
Okay.
Do it where it's kind of similar angles, same character designs, everything like that.
But like live action.
But live action, little short film.
Maybe you could do Dragon Ball Z justice finally.
But yeah,
That one was terrible. Oh,
I've heard the One Piece one isn't that bad.
No, that one wasn't that. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
But yeah, no, I want to do something like that, like rely mostly on practical effects. There's a couple like CGI artists that are like coming up because again, like
So
you guys do it, we do it. You have the ability to create from your house now,
you do.
Yes, absolutely.
and there's these kids out there who are fucking talented,
Yeah.
and you know they have like a Patreon set up and they work a part-time job just to do these things for themselves. Like it's not like they're actually doing anything. But I want to reach out to them because again, like the Last Order was a lot of practical effects. I looked at the budget going back.
Yeah.
I could have spent that money on an artist CGI or green screen some effects, and save money.
Yeah.
But I think if I have mostly practical effects in like a superhero anime style movie, and then maybe one or two scenes that does have that CGI effect, I can put more money to that, make sure that effect's
Yeah.
really solid.
Absolutely.
So
I don't know. I definitely feel like there's definitely a skill in practical effects, though, especially learning. Like,
Oh,
what I
yeah.
learned, yeah.
Oh, dude,
is
that's
it more
yeah.
costly though?
Yeah, I mean, that's trial and error.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's I think it's Andre I'm gonna butcher his last name, Tarkovsky or something like that. He did I think he did Stalker. Like this guy's notorious for doing like practical effects. And in one of his films, they built an actual house because in the script, eventually the house burns down. And it was supposed to collapse in on itself and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And they start rolling and then the camera fucks up. So you have to reload everything. But house is on fire already. And the house is not going out. Like and the whole house burns down. And this man, you get the clip of like the house already on fire and it's collapsing, and this man is distraught. Like
Oh yeah.
you can't just rebuild a house.
No.
And especially when you have 100 people on your crew and you're trying to balance everything out. Like it's
Oh shit.
I mean, even we ran into that with the bottle.
Yeah.
On a small scale.
On a
we
small
broke
scale.
a bottle. We broke both the bottles we had.
Oh my
The
god.
two only bottles we had, I think.
Yeah, we bought breakaway bottles.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
break.
easily break them. So they're mad expensive. They're like, it was like almost 100. It was like $75 for 2 bottles. Like,
Holy shit.
like it was a lot.
Are you serious?
And
Ooh, they're like paper thin.
yeah, it's like it's super thin resin.
Mm.
And they come in a box and they're wrapped in a layer of bubble wrap that says caution, super fragile. Wrapped in another layer of bubble wrap, caution, super fragile. Another one that says, dude, we're serious, it's super fragile.
Yeah, of course.
So we take it out and I'm like, listen, everybody, we have 2 of these. We have 2 takes of this. And I'm like, these are super fragile. And I go and hand one over to the director or the actor. And I go, here, just like handle this. Like, get a feel for it. Be very, very gentle. And I turn around and I start like taking the other one out of the box. And all I hear is, and I look over and Cherokee has his hands covered in the broken bottle and goes, oops.
Oh my god.
And like,
What even happened? I don't even remember. I just remember
I literally
like
just put it in my hand and it just broke.
It's broke.
yeah, and
Literally
that
the
fragile?
slightest pressure is enough to break it, especially like at certain points on the bottle. Because like if you squeeze it towards the bottom, it's where you're supposed to smash over somebody's head.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like the end of the night. It's
That's
fucking
crazy.
11 p.m. Been working all day. That happens, and just like just a white noise in my ears, just tunnel vision. I'm just like, oh my god.
I know you were so pissed. I was looking at you and I was like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
bro.
The room got very quiet. But then we go, all right, we have one more bottle.
Oh.
So we're like, just to establish continuity, we're gonna have it in the shot. The actors run in from this area and they go into the counter and then we cut.
Mm.
And they do it. And I mean, the guy has a bag over his head. It's a fight scene.
Mhm.
He can't really see what's happening. So he goes runs forward and all you hear is cut. And he broke the bottle by accident. Just like he can't see. And he
literally
acts
has
like
a bag
fun.
on his
Yeah.
head.
God.
He like hit it on the counter or
Yeah.
something.
Just accidentally.
Yeah.
So there's like so I'm
So
just
now we
like,
had half a broken bottle to work with.
yeah. And me in my head, I'm just so distraught. I'm just like, I might as well burn $75. I'm just like, take 5, guys. I'm just,
To take 5.
I'm in the corner, just like,
Holy shit.
and then luckily, shout out Alexander Mendez. He comes over to me. He goes, he's the actor in the scene. He goes, dude, look. I know you're stressed out. We have half a broken bottle. We got the last one breaking on camera. You cut to the scene. I have it in my hand. I'm just trying to stab him at this point instead of break a bottle on him. And then you can take my hand. You can slam it down.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant.
Wow.
Let's go with it.
Definition
shot
of
it.
adapt.
Oh my god. And it's so much better because like
It was great.
part of what we wanted to achieve with the film was like this guy's not a killer,
Yeah.
like naturally, like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
and like it's you
Right.
see a lot of the awkwardness.
That's
Right. That's actually such a good thing to mention because that is a really big vibe in some of the scenes. It looks like he kind of doesn't know what he's doing or how to like get this guy to shut up, but he's like, because he's never done this before. He's like, what, like a dad trying to like figure out this, yeah, bring his daughter back and figure out this ritual. So that comes through, and I think it's good.
Yeah, like there's one, we were going through the edit, and there's one scene where it's actually in the trailer. He asks he asks Troy, the Uber driver, if he can bring food in for him, place on the table. And Alexander Mendez does this thing of like, yeah, sure, man. All right, like it's his last order for the night. You know, like, all right, let me just fucking get this over with. And Jose, who plays Lewis the killer, he has his mom just like, and he almost like he stops himself from giving away too much. Like, yes, like, but it's you see the relief in him, and it's like this guy who doesn't know how he's doing. That's why he does it. He's like, how do I get somebody in my house?
Yeah.
Order Uber Eats straight to my door.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I would never step in someone's house. That's so crazy. I
Oh
can't
my
believe
God.
somebody did that. So on the inspired story, did he really go in someone's house?
No, they don't know.
They don't know what
No,
happened?
they don't,
Okay.
yeah.
But if that's what happened, that's crazy.
I mean, he was murdered in the house, so like he had to have gone to the house somewhere.
Oh, so he was murdered in the house, or he was just found in
No,
the
he was
house?
murdered.
No,
the
he was
house.
murdered in the house. Like they found like from the doorway to the bathrooms to the kitchen,
Like struggling.
like blood everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Even the scene, like I remember the scene. I'm like acting like it's real life, even though it's a movie scene. Like I just remember the Alex and him like doing the scene, and I was like, he's gonna go in his house. Like he's just gonna like, like he's asking him in his house, and he's just gonna like do it.
Yeah, like that voice in the back end that when we're watching the movie, we're like,
You're
what
like,
are you doing?
I'm like on set. I'm like, Alex, what are you doing, bro?
But that was also part of the goal too. Is like we wanted to make it seem where we needed our Louis Fausto, the actor, to portray him to have like endearing qualities.
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting because Jose Gomez, who plays Louis, shout out Jose, he wants to do like comedy more than anything. Like he's also like, yeah, I prefer to comedy, but like, you know, I'm just experimenting right now. I want to try different things, see what my strengths are. And he has a very, like he's a real estate guy. Like he has a very like charismatic energy to him already.
Okay.
I mean, the way he's acting is he's very versatile, like the way he does things.
Yeah, he's a very physical actor.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like you just
Whatever
watching him like
happens.
ready up for a scene, just he's like he's rolling his head.
Yeah, no, he does do that.
Yeah, it's
He is very charismatic. That soft, like dad vibe, like does come through in a lot of the
Yeah.
scenes. And I feel like he has this, like, okay, see ya, honey, be home, like short. Like he plays that part really well. So-
I love that. Moving forward a little bit, can we go into? I know it comes out October 31st.
Yeah.
Can we talk about like what we
Yes.
can do, how we can be there? You know, give us little details on
Well, we do
Okay.
need to update. The last podcast we said it was going to be on the 24th, I
yes,
think.
So
So you guys have achieved getting the premiere on Halloween
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
7 p.m.
at 7 p.m.
Wow.
7 p.m. October 31st. That's crazy.
Yeah,
At the West Orange Cinema.
Western Cinema in Covey.
Tickets are $10.
Tickets are
Give us the rundown
$10.
real quick.
So
Yes.
tickets for the premiere are $10.
Okay.
We're also gonna be having an after party. After party, the tickets are gonna be $30. But if you have a ticket from the premiere, you get half off entry to the after party.
Mhm.
We're also gonna have ticket packages where you can buy some of the shirts like
Yes.
Kelsey and Dom are wearing.
We will be having more
Um,
shirts.
We're gonna have some more shirts. We're gonna have raffle tickets. If you
More
go
hats.
to the GoFundMe, every $10 you donate gets you one raffle ticket. We're gonna raffle off one of the shirts, one of the hats you guys have been making, props, whole bunch of stuff. There's gonna be a costume contest going on, so come in costume.
I love this.
Different prizes, some cash prizes, some gift prizes, and this is not just your regular premiere. This
Yeah.
is, you know, we
It's a
want
fucking
to.
party.
This is this is a real fucking movie premiere.
This is
Like
this is a Justin Castillo and Cherokee Bridges movie premiere.
yeah, this
Say-
is
Let me just leave it at that.
we
I
can't
shouldn't have to explain.
we
further.
can't get into
Yeah.
Hollywood, so we brought Hollywood here. You know,
There
that's
we
what we're
go.
doing.
Yes.
And
Love that.
yeah, like it's really cool too seeing the reactions because I mean, like the trailer just came out, like I edited that.
The trailer was fucking sick.
It
by
was
the
literally
way.
the hurricane
It
was
was.
happening. I was in the house. I was like, let's go do something. And yeah, seeing the reaction to that and seeing like, you know, you talk to people about like, oh yeah, I'm making this movie. Yeah, this guy's making a movie.
Right. That's how I have felt just being on the movie. All my friends are like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Especially when you can't show the final product yet.
Yeah.
Like there's so much work that goes into it, you know. Like I had my brother working on the soundtrack. Shout out Dylan. Like he was And man, that was the best part. Just seeing the music finally sync up to the trailer.
Yes.
So much fun.
Seeing it come together, you're like, yes, it's working. Like, because you know how when you have a plan mentally and it comes together and you're like, shit, this doesn't look how I want it to look. Like, I pictured this differently and it doesn't really come together like you wanted it to. That's the scary part of art. You're like, maybe I'm imagining this all perfectly, and what if it doesn't come together? Like, when all the things are done. And obviously that didn't happen. So, but that's the scary part. Like, that worries me when I'm making
When we
art.
were coming up with the soundtrack, it was what was that one song that you played that was it was like
It's from the movie Suspiria, like the OG 1970s. It's like I think it's an Italian director, but like the soundtrack's so fucking amazing. It's like
it's very like mixture of that and very Silent Hill.
Yeah.
yeah, like they like Silent Hill, like synths and the old school music.
Yeah.
Which we did want to give like that vibe too. Like it is
Yeah.
a horror film. You want to pay homage a little
Love
bit.
it.
And then also adding more like mystical, strange elements to it.
That was great.
There's yeah. There's one scene where the cult member comes in, the acolyte, and we actually took inspiration from oh my god, maybe you can help me out. Angels from the Architecture. You know that the symphony piece? It's like Angels in the Architecture or something like that, or
Oh, you're going back to band.
back to band.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, what are you guys talking about?
That's a blur.
That's
in my memory.
But there's like this great
Oh.
symphonic piece, and it's like, you know, these drums are coming, these horns, and in the background, and I love it because you watch these videos on YouTube of these professionals and everybody's at faces suits, and there's the triangle guy, and the triangle guy's just, and then he starts really going, and it's this nice constant ringing sound that happens, and it sounds just like otherworldly. And we kind of tapped into that a little bit for the soundtrack as well. Yeah,
Interesting.
a lot of inspirations.
Love that.
Yeah.
I loved the trailer. I love how you just like said all those things, like where you're in so just for the trailer, let alone the movie. No, but the trailer was fucking awesome. It was sick. It was everything it needed to be, and we posted it everywhere. It's on your Instagram, right?
Instagram.
We're gonna have it posted by the time we post this episode. We're gonna have the trailer posted as well on our page.
Link to the merch. Link to
We're gonna link everything like we did the last time.
Absolutely.
The GoFundMe for the movie, where the movie's gonna be, all the links, all the socials.
Yeah, because our goal is with whatever money we take from this, it's basically
literally
buying equipment and going into the next film.
Yeah.
Next film.
It's just you have to invest in
You know,
yourself.
the one thing I realized is relying on people on equipment. It's like the hardest thing. It's very.
And like we're thankful for that too. Like we have people who believed in us where they're like, hey.
Oh, like trying to rely on people for equipment? Is that what you said?
Well, because we had like Ose, our cinematographer, shout out Ose. He brought his camera.
Yeah.
And like we needed, you know, a lens for a certain scene. And I was like, you have the lens? He goes, no. I go, all right, cool. I'm gonna buy the lens.
Oh shit.
And you know, we used his equipment. I'm thankful for that. We needed a gimbal, got a gimbal. Rick Alexander, shout out Rick. He's our sound guy. He's actually working like
He was awesome.
I wanted to bring him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He worked on real like shows, like
He provided us
Yeah, he-
notes
he-
and stuff.
yeah, he was doing Disney like corporate gigs and stuff like that too. Like he could name drop people. And he was super helpful. Like he knew we were just like a bunch of kids making a movie, running around, and he would drop knowledge, you know, just stories, and just also just hey, here's my equipment. And it was really cool too. Was he would come by, drop off the equipment, and be like, I'm not going to work on this. You know, you have this guy running it, but I just want to watch. And he would just sit there and watch, and it was really cool.
And sometimes give little tips of like,
I mean, there
because
was
he has
sometimes he
experience,
overtook
like you
the-
said.
Yeah.
There were sometimes where he just overtook the sound too and just did it himself.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he did the sound for us a few times. Yeah.
I remember being like behind the scenes, and he didn't need sound for that like cut or something, and he was just talking to me about like different movies he'd been on and different things he did, and I was just like, wow.
Yeah, that guy's had some stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had some stories.
I was just absorbing all the information because I was like, you know what, I never know when you're gonna need some of this knowledge.
Yeah.
Especially someone that's been through everything that he's been through.
Yeah. Yeah, especially hearing just like how again COVID changed everything. Like it changed the game for the film industry, hearing that. And just I think that was also part of it too, was him saying, you know, you can look for jobs, you can do the freelance jobs. You go on Backstage, you go on the other websites.
Yeah.
I think a big thing for me is like create the opportunity yourself.
Yeah.
You have the ability to do it nowadays.
You do. Yeah, like everything, I said this, I think last episode or episode before, like there's a lot more in your control than you're willing to admit. Like you need to make like 95% of the results or surroundings in your life are like because of your own choices. Like, and we try to pretend it's because of life or because of this, because of that. And it's like, kind of, I guess. Go off, I guess. But like, mostly it's like your own choices that
100%.
made those things. Yeah.
Ultimately, you're in control at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like we keep saying with art, like literally just create your own world, whatever you need to express and, you know, get out. Like you can do that in art. You can't, you know, act uncivilized in the real world, but you can in art. And like you can get that out, like you were saying, irrationally.
And you were saying too, like you were creating the movie and people were like, oh, just a guy making a movie. Like I feel like we get that a lot, you know, it kind of like, what is that word? It kind of downplays, you know, what we do, diminishes. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. And I think we just need to get into like this mindset that we can really make any reality happen. There was a lot of social stigmas that, you know, you can't, like if you're doing art, you're going to be broke. If you do this, you're never going to make it. And I think we just need to get away from that. We need to really hone in on the fact that, you know, art is such a beautiful thing. And when we do immerse ourselves in like our dreams and getting things done, we can actually be the hero of our own story and, you know, live a fulfilled life. Even though we're not being an executive or we're not working for a big company.
Putting the trailer out and then being like, oh yeah, the trailer's out, like telling people, yeah, go see it, blah, blah, blah. And people being like,
people were like, oh,
like the one word I kept hearing was actually. Oh, this is actually fire. Oh, this is actually really good.
Wow.
And I was like, cool.
actually it's like a
That's crazy.
fucking, like that's
But
crazy.
like I'm very different mentality with this, like versus when I was doing music.
That's
Like,
so rude,
when I was doing
though.
music, if somebody said, oh, this is actually a good song, I'd be in my room just like, I'm not doing this ever again. But with this, it's just like, yeah, no shit. Like,
Yeah.
you think this is good, wait till the next one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it fuels me. Like
Yeah, because it's like that. Honestly, it's like they're trying to compliment you, and they think they're being nice. Like, oh, this is actually good, and you're kind of thinking like, okay, fuck you. Like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
it's
Well,
more
it's
like
like,
people like they think we're amateur filmmakers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
don't
'cause
know,
they think,
how
like,
much,
it's gonna be
film we watch
shitty.
and stuff like that.
yeah, I think it's part of it. It's also just
but
I think
it's
also
like,
oversaturation too. You see all these people coming up, oh, I'm making this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And
But they don't
everybody-
actually get anything
Well,
done.
I mean, they probably think
That's
we're
true.
like a I don't know, like an airplane 666 type of thing or some stupid like film like that, you know.
But you actually put the work, your words to the work, and you actually made it happen.
Yeah.
I think that's very
I guess
respectable.
it's just proving like you have to show work for yourself, and like you said, like if after this movie, when you have past work, people can look and be like, oh yeah, he did these 3 to 5 movie. Like of course the next one's gonna be similar or better or good. So I kind of you do have to make like a reputation for yourself in the art world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too with beginning filmmakers is, or beginning anybody, just it's ignoring the outside voices.
Mhm.
It's like there's a few key
Yeah.
ones that are we're gonna be truthful and honest and give you critiques.
Yeah,
But trust your gut,
yeah,
and also just seeing. And I think we touched on it in the last one, but the difference between reactions of friends and strangers is always very interesting sometimes.
a customer will become a friend faster than
A friend will become
friend will become a customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
100 yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it. Love that.
I think another inspiring director too is the guy who did August Underground. I know you don't like that movie,
Oh,
but
gosh.
he was a film teacher that did like prosthetics and stuff like that.
Okay.
And his students had like this weird obsession with like serial killers and stuff like that. So he went in his hands and just made a really fucked up like serial killer movie, and like he acted in it, he wrote it, he produced it, and he had this gimmick too where like it was released like in 2001, and he was gonna release like these VHS tapes and just put them on people's doorsteps and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But that's when 9/11 happened, and so he just had to rethink everything, the whole strategy. But he was like trying to make it like an authentic like snuff film.
Mm.
It's a very, very interesting film. It's very gross and very vile though.
Wow. I think it's interesting how you said a real life event affected his art, like he changed the movie or when it was coming out and stuff. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's cool. That's crazy.
I feel like that happens
Adaptability.
a lot, too. It's just, especially nowadays,
Mhm.
you gotta be very
Yeah.
sensitive, especially once you get to the level of
That
like
is-
corporate sponsors and everything like that, because
Absolutely.
nowadays people just take it away so quick.
Mhm.
But I think in a more like known name, like Robert Rodriguez,
Yeah.
guy who did Spy Kids,
Okay.
El Mariachi, Machete, very similar thing. It was he couldn't get into film school because he didn't have like certain criteria or whatever, blah blah blah. And he goes, yeah, but I've made more films than any student in this building.
Yeah.
And it was all home movies he would do with his
Yeah.
family. And people went, and he actually went to the dean's office and was like, watch this. The guy watched it and went, right, you're in the class. So he got into the class. And
Capability.
And
Like,
there's a book, and I recommend it for like people doing film or just anything in general. It's just a good read. It's Rebel Without a Crew. And it's about him making El Mariachi, his first film.
okay.
I think it's like $7,500, and he funded it mostly doing drug trials in Mexico.
Wow.
Like he was there for like 3 months. He would go and have his friend, because he didn't have like anything but like letters. So he would send a letter to his friend. Hey, heard about this location. Go check this out. Record it. Send me the videotape so I can watch it. Go to the location, record it, come back. Look at the tape and go, okay, cool. I'm gonna use this room for this scene. He started to write based off what he had. And you know, like you saw on set, there was a wheelchair. We had a wheelchair, and it was a wheelchair. Who? What? But for like dolly shots, like there's a shot of the cop Dante coming down the hallway, and it's a very smooth shot, and it's me pulling Ose holding the camera in a wheelchair to get like a dolly shot.
Roller skates are big too. Like Ose was telling me he needs to get roller skates because he wants to like skate around and get the shots.
Yeah, that's actually super cool.
No, yeah, that makes sense. Like, there's so much shit on set that you're like, what the fuck is this for? And it's like the most random thing. Like,
but everything has its place.
Everything has
reason plus.
That's the thing about art. I understand, like, in other careers, like, you need to get certain degrees to be a doctor, lawyer, whatever. But, like, in art, it's just about capability and just doing it and being good. And, like, it's just, that's why, like, what you said about the kid getting into the school, like, he was obviously, like, should have been in the school, but, like, wasn't able to because of, like, other things, like you said,
like there's
criteria and stuff.
Like the grades and stuff.
Yeah, and so, but his art is actually really good, and like.
And now he's Robert Rodriguez. He made Spy Kids. He made
he's like
exactly.
A so
name.
You're denying very skilled and like talented, capable, gifted kids of like great things, and kind of denying the world of experiencing that great thing, such as Spy Kids. You know what I mean? And like. Art like that when it could be great, and you're kind of like you're just kind of outputting people that just go through the system instead of artistic people.
I mean, it's like the writer for I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. He wrote the story and it was a laughing stock, but then he actually published it, made like I think millions of dollars in the book or whatever. So then every time he gets an award for the book, he sends it to his teacher despite his teacher.
That's crazy.
I love stories.
We
like
love
that.
petty shit.
That's so.
That's so funny.
What were you guys' thoughts on the film sets being there? What'd you guys think?
What do you mean, the set?
Yeah, just in general.
Like me being on set?
Yeah, both of you actually, because you guys were both there.
Oh yeah, you were here. I forgot.
I got a funny story for this. For sure. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I was just gonna say, like, it was great. It was a really good energy. Like, obviously, we run into problems. We're humans, but we figured it out. We all adapted. I think we all came through when we needed to. Shout out to all the actors who, like, because I think their actors had the most animation and charisma on set, which kind of, like, kept the set alive, which I said before. You were a great director. You were a great writer and director, both you guys. Awesome idea. Just on this podcast, too, I want to say, like, I've noticed your creativity, specifically Cherokee, like, is really huge. You have really good ideas for writing and for movies, and it's just the execution that, like, as artists, we have to, like, get better at and take place. You know what I mean?
Love that.
I think that was basically it. I had a great time. It was kind of like, I think it was my first set, and it was, for me, I was like, you were like, oh, thank you so much for being here, and I was like, dude, like, I'm getting experience right now. This is my first, like, my first set, like, thanks.
That's also hard when you don't have like credentials. Like I think,
or even the networking too on top of that.
Yeah, like I literally jumped into it, and I had straight into the deep end, trying to like work on all these projects and just meet people, and even like Ose, like we had a conversation about the project. He goes, honestly, dude, because we met on a different project. He goes, I took this project just because I was bored. I was like, I knew this project we were working on was finishing up, and I knew I needed something to do. And I was like, all right, this guy's never made a move before. He was like, expectations were low. And he goes, but I can now say this is the most pride I have in a project right now. Like, I'm so proud of my work. I'm proud of everybody who's working on this. And like, he's like 100% like believes in it now.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's again, kind of he believes in surprising people.
I'm not gonna lie to you, what actually got me better as a writer too is you can ask him. I literally just analyze movies like as a hobby. That's like my thing.
I can tell.
Because I was analyzing Beetlejuice too, and I was talking to him about it, and he doesn't like my opinion about it, but
oh no.
Well, you don't like Beetlejuice?
It's all right. It's got story.
Story.
It's got story issues. Nothing makes sense in that movie.
Okay. I can respect it.
But like the thing is, the movie chooses style over substance, and usually directors go for that.
For sure.
And that's where the story usually falls flat. when they choose like lighting and like choreography, very good choreography, good scoring and stuff like that. But then you leave out the writing, and then the characters have like a lot of like subplots that don't need to be there. That's the problem I had with the movie.
I respect that.
I feel like they do that a lot too, like with movies where like they find what was so good in the first one, like the shrunken head guys, like then they really exploit that because they know that people loved it from the first movie.
They just like instead of like
and
just
the merchandising, you can't forget the merchandising.
Oh yeah, Danny DeVito was in that movie too, and
Like
he was
5
like
seconds,
literally for no reason.
My final thoughts though, I thought I had that similar concept going into like her telling me that she was working on a movie. I was like, oh, what is this? Like, like what the fuck is she getting herself into? And I think I was like working at Double one day, and she texted me. She's like, "Hey, like they need a set. They need something to record at." And yes, and like I got home and I was like so exhausted. I was like, "What am I walking into?" I like opened the door and I heard like acting going on. I was like, "Oh shit!" And then I don't know. Pardon me, I don't know his name, but the guy that was also working on the set, he was kind of like making sure everything was okay. I don't know.
Jojo.
I think so. He
the
was
other
like,
crew people.
The other crew people, yeah.
Yeah, I
he
think
was a crew guy.
Jojo.
Yeah, Jojo.
Yeah.
He met me at the door. He was like, "Shh." I was like,
fucking apartment.
I was sweaty, tired,
Oh,
exhausted, and this dude's telling me to be quiet in my own apartment.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea about that.
He never told us that.
Yeah, he never told me.
Oh my god. Yeah, obviously, like it wasn't a big deal.
No,
like,
yeah.
we wanted to help and we knew the situation, but
That is a
obviously
very
we'd be
Jojo thing to
lying
do.
if we said you weren't irritated when I texted you. You were like, you're bringing the whole set to the place, and I was like, yeah.
I'm internally grateful for that too, because that was like kind of similar to the bottle. It was one of my producers got an Airbnb. We didn't fully read the thing, and it said like no photography, no video equipment, no nothing, like 8 times in it.
Mm-hmm.
And neighbor saw equipment coming out of the car, and they're like, nope, gotta leave. We spent money on this for like 2 days to like shoot here, and now we're like,
Oh yeah.
so we had nowhere to go. All the actors are here. We have makeup like halfway being done on an actress, and we're just like, all right, everybody in the car, we gotta go before like. So we go rendezvous at the house, trying to figure it out. Kelsey was like, let me see, let me ask Dom.
I was
Like,
yeah, I thought it was just like, to me, as soon as the first set like venue was falling apart, I was like, oh shit, we're gonna have to leave. I kind of had a feeling too, because I think I heard somebody didn't clear something, and when we got there I was like, what if we have to leave? And then like, yeah, and then we did, which is what happened. And my first thought was like, my apartment, like nobody's there. It was perfect. I thought it worked out totally good. We're fine.
Yeah, no, like once I settled
We're
in and saw
fine.
the
He's fine.
equipment and like saw the lighting, I was like, oh shit, this actually.
I was more worried about noise complaints, to be honest, because all the screaming and stuff. That's what I was.
We
worried
actually
about.
never get noise complaints here, and we be loud as heck too. So
yeah, that was one thing. When Charlotte has to scream, I was just like,
I know. We talked about it in the first episode.
Yeah.
too. Like, I was in the bedroom like covering my ears. I was like, don't get anxiety. The neighbors aren't gonna call the cops. They're not gonna do it.
yeah, I told her don't go to a 10 because I heard her 10 before, and I was just like, let's go like 9, like
Okay,
maybe
yeah.
the max. Having Michael on set helped a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
agree.
our makeup artist.
oh yes,
Shout out Michael. She helped a lot. Like
it's Michael.
Michael.
Yeah,
I thought it was
Michael.
Micah this whole time.
No, it's Michael.
Spent a whole set with this lady, and I thought it was Micah. I'm so sorry.
I know she's gonna give me shit now when she hears this.
Yeah,
Uh,
forever gonna be on the podcast.
but yeah, no, she helped a lot because like I've never given birth before. Like what the I don't know what the fuck birth's like.
Yeah, she was the only
And
one.
she
I
was
think.
like, she's like a mom of like 4 kids, and like she's fucking great. She was on set and being like, no, this is what it's like when you have your first contraction. This is what you're gonna do, and she was like able to help.
Yeah.
She brought like some of her extra makeup stuff on it too. Like she brought her like sweat bottle of like
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
she was great.
baby oil and like water, so like it really starts to like glisten and everything like
That
that.
was another one too that had a plethora of experience, with HHN and other projects she was
She had
telling
a
me
lot
about.
under her
Yeah.
belt too. Yeah.
And again, talking about like people just helping. Like I've
Mhm.
never done a project and she helped me for
Yeah.
like free.
You know, so one thing I felt
Yeah.
really bad, not updating anybody for like so long, and then I finally tell people, and they got that like they sigh of relief once they heard everything when I called everyone, like just out of nowhere.
I know because people invest a lot in it, and then you're like kind of like waiting and
Oh,
waiting,
yes. Yeah.
and like
Waiting for what?
we know
Waiting
we got
for,
a lot.
the release of the movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
like I know a lot of the
editing
actors
and
been
stuff?
like, hey, we're
They wanted
We'll
reels
see,
and all
we'll
that. We
see.
were just like waiting on editing and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
gotcha.
So when I finally called
I mean,
them,
editing
it
takes
was-
time. We like just finished filming not that long ago.
yeah, and I mean again like we're doing it like long distance. Like
Yeah, like there's a
Yeah.
lot going on.
our editors are in Melbourne or
Our
Daytona, it's
cameraman's in freaking
and then
Virginia.
Cameron's in it's a lot. You got
But some people don't know like the editing process too. They don't know how long
It's a
like,
lot.
how tedious it is to edit and stuff. So
especially when you're not both there. We were using like Discord and like Apple Screen Share and stuff
I
like
can
that.
only imagine how much harder that probably is.
Yeah, it was a lot.
When I was doing those, it wasn't terrible, but like it was. I wish I
It's not the most
I wish I could
optimal.
control it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little harder, but again, it's all learning experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a fun time still,
Yeah.
and it's interesting watching the editing process
oh, yeah.
of just like scenes slowly coming together. You start to add in like the Foley and like the SFX
And all the
It's-
cuts and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Once it comes
sick.
together and you're like, oh,
I'm
and
excited.
then you get like
wait.
charged again because you see it kind of coming together, and you're like, oh, this is it. This is what I wanted.
I'm gonna mention one more thing too.
Yeah.
Joker 2 has a very good take on mental health. Has a very good take on like Arthur Fleck as a character, and like it shows how deteriorated he is as a person. And the whole symbolism about the movie is basically like people idolize the Joker and they idolize what that represents, but they don't really care about Arthur Fleck as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So like the Todd Phillips, the way he wrote it, basically it's like a kind of like a sorrow type of story. And basically it's just no one gives a shit about Arthur Fleck, and it just shows him deteriorating more and more as a person. And he just ends up realizing that nobody gives a shit about him in general.
yeah.
And it just goes in this whole like psych ward of like people only care about like imagery and subtle messages like that. They don't really
Yeah.
care like what's behind it.
No, absolutely. No,
Like,
I
you're
left that
talking about
movie.
Joker, right?
Yeah, I left
Sorry.
that movie theater. I think it was like close to COVID, right? When the first one came out.
Yeah.
I left that movie theater a totally different person. I thought it was gonna be like, like Joker, like he's gonna do some badass shit.
See
And I
Manson
left
in the
there.
trailer, yeah.
I was
I
like,
knew-
now I know what mental illness really looks
The
like.
second one goes way more into it.
Wait,
Mhm.
it's out already?
Yeah, it's already out.
Oh, I want to go see it. Did you see the second one?
I
You
heard-
don't want to see it?
I heard it was a musical,
think it's
so I
very,
heard that
very
was
good.
interesting.
I've heard.
I think it's very, very good.
I've heard it was.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
I mean, if you don't like musicals.
Yeah.
No, I like musicals.
Well,
But not a lot of
general
people knew it was a
consensus,
musical going into it, is what
I've heard it's like kind of like a half-ass musical kind of.
Half-ass?
Yeah, like it kind
I
of is a
wouldn't say
musical
that.
at certain times, other times it's not. I've also
think
like
that's
I haven't
the
seen it
vibe,
heard it
though.
like
Like Joker
secondhand.
itself was almost a musical, if you think about
Yeah,
it.
like when he's going down the stairs, up
Yeah.
the stairs, he's dancing. It's almost like a musical in his head.
Yes.
Mhm. But now he brings it out of it. So.
I think
Yeah.
that's why it seems like a half-ass musical, because like I haven't even seen it, but I'm already advocating for it. But like, because I just loved the first Joker so much, and I love Lady
I mean,
Gaga.
Lady Gaga was very, very, very
And I
good in
think
that
she's
movie.
perfect for the role. She made a whole
She's
album
great.
for the movie, and
Oh, yeah,
I just
fun.
love the vibes. Like, and I love that it's focusing on mental illness in a that like Joker is literally like the embodiment of what I love about movies, like art and mental health and illness awareness, and like weirdness too, like making it weird and uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't like it, but I love it. That's like what I love about movies.
That's what I like about it, because it's a very realistic story, and that's
Yeah.
like what Todd Phillips is going for. And people don't like it because it's not a fucking superhero movie.
And it's
Mhm.
weird.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. I like weird shit.
Even like with this podcast, like we get a lot of feedback back that like people are challenged by mental health. So now that
Yeah.
we're seeing movies come out about mental health, a lot of people are gonna get a lot of like negative feedback because people are scared.
That's another thing, is like people don't like things that are good. You know what I mean? Like people don't like things that are like need to be talked about. People don't like watching movies that are real, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. They want to escape and watch something that doesn't remind them about their life, not something that will help their life.
There's a movie like that. It's called Moonlight. Moonlight goes into like that type of territory. It's about like a kid who grew up in the suburban like projects, and it's like in Miami,
Mhm.
super bad or whatever. And there's a guy, Marshall Ali. He plays like a drug dealer,
Fantastic, yeah.
Mhm,
and he goes into this whole thing where he's selling his mom like crack and stuff like that.
mhm.
But then he's like being a father figure to this kid, and then he finally makes a connection that he's the one that's like enabling her drug habit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like it mentally destroys him. You can't look at this kid anymore. So this kid grows up without a father figure because of that.
Wow.
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 Damn.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That was an intense movie. That was really beautiful. It's also about like him coming to like terms with his like sexuality,
Okay.
Yeah.
and like he reconnects with like his old high school friend that they both had like an experience together. So him are like in the cafe and they're talking, and it's just you see the two ways. Like it kind of reminded me of Brokeback Mountain a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
very similar concept.
it's seeing two different opposing ways to deal with the same issue.
Mhm.
Just like this guy is
Perspective.
struggling with sexuality, but he's coming to terms a little bit more with it. And this guy, perhaps more hyper masculine, like I don't know the word, more aggressive
Mhm.
personality and persona. But reality behind all of it, there's it's still that same kid from back like in Miami.
Still like insecure.
And still, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to do with the times too, with like how Brokeback Mountain came out. It wasn't nearly as accepting, and then with Moonlight, it's a very accepting independent film, and they're both independent films on top of that too.
Yeah, I think Brokeback Mountain kind of opened up the doors to kind of start telling a little more of the stories.
Yeah,
that was a really good movie. I just saw that, and that one was kind of like didn't expect it to be so goddamn sad. That was one thing.
I hate when you pull up a movie and you're like, God damn, I didn't expect to bawl my eyes out tonight.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Especially since it's like it's Heath Ledger too, and just seeing like how fucking talented that man is, and just like you see him in like Knight's Tale.
I love Knight's Tale.
Dude, my brother Dylan used to watch it like all the time as a kid. Like that's just like ingrained in my childhood. So like seeing that, seeing Joker, 10 Things I Hate About You, and then Brokeback Mountain, and that's all the same actor.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Such a diverse, such a powerful like actor, honestly. Wish he was still here to make more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to mention about The Last Order or the premiere?
No, you can go to 1990X Films Inc. on Instagram to donate to the GoFundMe. Tickets are going to be available there as well.
and we'll have the trailer on YouTube as well.
Yeah, trailer's going to be on YouTube. We have the
Trailer's
trailer
out.
on Instagram already.
We'll share the trailer, yeah, for sure.
We'll be sharing the trailer and the GoFundMe link as well as the ticket link and like all of that. We'll try to link everything that we can. So
Yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff coming with this film. This isn't just a film. This is a whole marketing release we have.
kind of
going
like a
on.
launch of
Yeah.
like us. No, I'm just kidding. It's kind of like a launch of like your career, of like your debut, like something new. Yeah.
Well, like the problem I had with like working with people is like finding out who's actually serious when making like movies and stuff like that, and then compared to like people that are just like, yeah, I want to do something, and they just drop it.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
one annoying thing I've like found.
It's a
with doing
difference in like, oh, that looks cool. I want to do that versus like passion
Mhm.
versus like real drive.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you guys.
It's
been
been
awesome.
this. Yeah, I
incredible.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. It was
Fun.
fun.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Rock Bottom Podcast. We love you, Gems.
Mwah.